Hello, everyone. On this week's discussion, we're talking about historic preservation, and so I felt the need to talk about something that I actually had a personal kind of connection with, and that is Colonial Williamsburg. Um, Now, Colonial Williamsburg is actually the largest living history museum to this day. I actually have a personal connection to it because I attended Colonial Williamsburg whenever I was about 15 years old, and a trip that me and my family had to Virginia. It's actually located in Williamsburg, Virginia, and it's basically, don't look at it as just this like the exact place. It's actually a city that they actually preserved to teach the public about uh, colonial the colonial era, specifically during the American Revolution. And so it was actually, this city was founded in 1632, and it was actually the capital of Virginia from 1699 to 1780. And just some background information on that. Uh, it was actually moved in 1780 with a hard push from Thomas Jefferson because of a fear of the British attack during the American Revolution. Uh, but the thing was is that it kind of became a dying town at this time after it was moved as the capital of Virginia. And so what really happened was it took some time, but some historians kind of moved in and was able to preserve the area. And today it's used as an excellent source to teach the public about historic preservation history of that era. It's actually part of what is known as the historic triangle, which is Jamestown, Yorktown, and Williamsburg. So super cool, super cool. Just to kind of really dive into it, it was actually at the time, it was the center for politics, education, and trade in Virginia during the Revolutionary War era. And there was actually a really cool event that happened in there called the Historic Gunpowder Incident, and that happened in 1775, and that was with Patrick Henry and the militia during that time. Very, very cool stuff. So, basically, what does this show the public? So Revolutionary War, everything. Just imagine that you walk into the Revolutionary War time period. It's incredible. Um, Basically, you go in there and everything is preserved. They have some of the original buildings in there, such as the actual Capitol building, a couple of churches and businesses and stuff. Those are actually still there to this day, and they are still the original buildings that were there, and they have been untouched and everything. So that's incredibly cool. They have historic preservation in that aspect, but also they have renovated and remodeled and have created this town feel that makes you feel like you just hopped in a time machine and went right back into the 1770s. And so it's fascinating. They have military bunkers from that time. Uh, they have businesses and stuff, and going into those businesses, they actually hire people. They come in every day, and they work the same jobs that they used to work back then. So and they do it in front of the public and show them how it's done and everything to preserve that way of history. It's incredible. So craftsmanships like silversmiths, blacksmiths, potters, wig makers, carpenters, farmers, glass blowers, even. Um, Locksmiths, printers, tailors, and many, many more. So they do that and they show people how it's done back how they used to do it, and people learn from it. It's incredible. They even cook. They cook colonial foods, popular colonial foods that was done back in the day, foods that they would feed the soldiers and everything during Revolutionary War time. They also hold colonial music, very string oriented. They even have a lot of drums where in military style where they show how the drummers would drum during battle and stuff, what different signals that meant. They hold a lot. They have exhibits that display colonial art from that time, which is incredible as well. Colonial architecture is everywhere, from the regular buildings that stay, from the new buildings that they have built. They have preserved colonial architecture there, which is awesome. They have preserved colonial religions and stuff like that. They have stuff that the churches and everything from that time, they kind of have that all together, and that's a separate part of it as well. And it's all in the same place. Keep this in mind. It's all in the same general area. Um, they have leisure activities such as carriage rides and games that the colonists would play back then and stuff like that. Incredibly cool. Um, Now they also have this really cool thing. This is one of my favorites. They have this part where these members, these employees, are called nation builders. These employees are actually dressed up and they portray real historic figures. And if you go up to them and you talk to them, they'll talk to you like they're the person that they are portraying. So figures like these are like George Washington, Paul Revere, James Madison, Marquis de Lafayette, and more. So they basically they go around and you go up to them and you say, "Oh, hi," and then like, "Hi, I'm George Washington." Like, it's crazy, and it's really cool because they know so much information about these people that they are able to just speak as if you were right there in that time period. And so they also have an archaeological site in that area. It's called the Custis Square, and they are still finding. They still have actual archaeologists on site. They are still finding items from from like the actual colonial Virginia area, and they're still getting up different things from the ground they are digging up. It's so cool. They still do that to this day. There's also museum exhibits from the things that they do find. They put them in the museum, and people are able to see them. Um, funny thing too, you can actually buy some of these things that actually they make in these shops that I was just telling you about, such as the blacksmiths, the potters, and everything. Glass blowers, for example, I have right here. This is uh, from one of the things where a glass blower made this a little pitcher, and it's handmade and everything. It's incredibly cool. Watched him do it and everything, with a big furnace and everything. It was awesome. Um, so really, as far as visiting goes, I thought about this as a future educator. What would it cost to, really take students there? And so they actually are very nice. They have a discounted rate for groups that you would take. So it's like $49 according to colonialwilliamsburg.org. It's like $49 if you were to go with your family and stuff like that. But they offer discounted rates for groups such as schools and whatnot that are educational and help our education system. So for a group for a full day is $35 per person, and it's $22 for a half day. Say if you had a really scrunched up schedule and you're on a field trip and you just need to do a half day thing, they have a rate for that as well at $22 per person. Really affordable, honestly, in my opinion, based off of like what all you can do there and the amount of history that you are able to learn in one spot. It's incredible. Um, really good deal. And honestly, if you take into account travel expenses and stuff like that, I actually think it's a really good place to visit. And especially with its location being that close to places like Yorktown and Jamestown, this is certainly like a destination that I would take my classroom on and certainly try to get approval on it if whenever I become a teacher. And so I'm really excited about it. I actually hope that I'm able to do that one day. Once again, got all this information from my experiences there that whenever during my visit, colonialwilliamsburg.org and williamsburgvirginia.gov. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you.